Hi, welcome to our channel Programming of Mind, where we accelerate your knowledge with concise, from high-value book summaries. Let's begin. The unfolding truth, living the realization of oneness. Ravi's journey had taken him far beyond the expectations he had once held for himself. No longer driven by a desire for external success or validation, he began to feel a deeper, more profound connection to the world around him. It wasn't a connection that was based on intellectual understanding or religious teachings, but one that emanated from the core of his being, a realization that he was not separate from the universe. He was the universe, experiencing itself through the lens of Ravi, the reality of oneness. One day, after a long meditation session in which Ravi felt the boundless peace of pure awareness, Guruji invited him to sit with him by a small stream near their ashram. The stream gurgled peacefully as it wound its way over smooth rocks. The surrounding trees whispered softly in the wind, and the sunlight filtered gently through the branches, creating patterns of light on the earth. Ravi, Guruji said, his voice carrying the weight of deep wisdom, tell me, what is the true nature of the world? Ravi paused, letting the question sink in. He had meditated on such questions for months, but now the answers seemed to come more easily, not as a theory, but as an experience. The world, Ravi began slowly, is not something separate from me. It is me. Everything I see, hear, and touch is a reflection of my own self. Guruji smiled, his eyes gleaming with approval. Yes, Ravi, the truth is simple. The world is not something outside of you to be grasped or understood. It is you unfolding in countless forms. The truth of oneness is not an idea. It is a living reality, an experience that transcends all duality. Ravi's heart opened at this revelation. In that moment, he felt the truth of Guruji's words vibrate deep within him. He understood that he was not just an individual among millions of other individuals. He was the same consciousness that pervaded all of creation, the same energy, the same life force that animated the trees, the animals, the rivers, and the mountains also lived within him. The boundaries that separated him from the world were purely mental constructs, illusions. This understanding did not come from any intellectual process or logical reasoning. It came from deep within his heart. It was as if the veil of separation had been lifted, and he could now see everything with fresh eyes, eyes that no longer saw differences, but only unity. The challenge of living in oneness. As Ravi's realization deepened, he found that living this truth was a different challenge altogether. It was one thing to have an intellectual understanding of oneness, but it was another to live it day by day in a world that seemed to operate on duality and separation. How could he live as one with all beings in a world that was constantly changing, with people constantly acting out of fear, greed, and ignorance? Guruji had often told him that the ultimate test of spiritual realization was not in solitude, but in how one interacts with the world. True enlightenment, Guruji said, was not about retreating from the world. It was about being fully present in it, without attachment, judgment, or fear. Ravi took this lesson to heart. He began to apply his realization of oneness to his daily life. As he moved through the world, he made a conscious effort to see the presence of the divine in everything and everyone. The old patterns of judgment, seeing others as separate, as other, began to fall away. Instead, he saw them as expressions of the same divine consciousness that lived within him. One day, Ravi went into town to purchase some supplies for the ashram. He walked down the busy street, watching people go about their business. It was a typical afternoon, with people hurrying to and fro, absorbed in their own thoughts, worries, and tasks. But Ravi saw something different now. He saw that each person, no matter how preoccupied with their own world, was still a reflection of the divine. He could feel the pulse of life within each of them. As he passed a woman selling flowers by the roadside, their eyes met for a moment. The woman's eyes were filled with a kind of weariness, and Ravi could feel the pain she carried inside. But he also felt an undeniable presence of grace in her eyes, a quiet beauty that was untouched by the struggles of her life. Without thinking, Ravi smiled at her, offering a simple but sincere gesture of acknowledgement. The woman smiled back, her face softening. In that brief exchange, Ravi felt a deep connection with her, a connection that transcended words, thoughts, and even the surface-level differences between them. He felt that they were not two separate beings, but one soul, temporarily appearing in different forms, realizing the divine in every moment. The more Ravi lived with this awareness, the more he felt the divine presence in every moment. He found himself slowing down, savoring the present, and recognizing that there was no need to look for happiness or peace in the future. It was all here, right now, in the stillness of the present moment. He began to see the divine in all aspects of life, even in the most ordinary experiences. A cup of tea, a conversation with a friend, the laughter of a child, each moment became a reflection of the eternal presence that pervaded everything. Even the seemingly mundane aspects of life were seen in a new light, as part of the vast, interconnected web of existence. One morning, as Ravi sat in the garden, he observed a butterfly landing on a flower. He watched in awe as the butterfly gently drank the nectar from the petals. There was something so graceful and purposeful in its movements, so attuned to the rhythm of nature. As Ravi watched the butterfly, he was filled with a deep sense of wonder. In that moment, Ravi realized something profound. The butterfly, the flower, the tree in the background, all were expressions of the same divine energy. They were not separate from him. They were simply different forms of the same consciousness, temporarily taking shape in different ways. He sat in meditation, allowing this realization to sink deeply into his being. He was no longer trying to grasp the truth with his mind. Instead, he was allowing it to unfold naturally through the very fabric of his existence. The test of surrender. While Ravi's realization of oneness deepened, the true test of his inner transformation came when he was faced with difficult situations that challenged his ability to remain grounded in this truth. It is one thing to meditate in the quiet of a peaceful retreat, but it is another to remain centered in the midst of life's challenges. One afternoon, Guruji called Ravi to his side as they sat in the meditation hall. "Ravi," he said, "you have made great progress on your spiritual journey. But the real test is to stay rooted in the truth of oneness when the storms of life come. Are you ready to face those storms?" Ravi nodded, though he wasn't quite sure what Guruji meant. The very next day, Ravi was presented with a test that shook him to his core. A family member had come to the ashram, seeking Ravi's help. His brother, who had always been distant and materialistic, was in trouble. He had lost a large sum of money in a failed business venture and was on the brink of bankruptcy. He came to Ravi with a sense of desperation, hoping for financial help or at the very least some guidance. Ravi's first instinct was to help his brother, but then he remembered Guruji's words. This was his test, his opportunity to practice non-attachment. Should he give in to the urge to solve the problem from a place of ego, or should he allow the situation to unfold without his interference? He sat quietly, observing his thoughts. His mind told him that he should step in and help, that he should alleviate his brother's suffering. But deep down, Ravi felt that this was not his path. He understood that true help would not come from merely solving the problem on the surface. True help came from guiding his brother toward understanding the deeper truths of life, toward realizing that material possessions and success were not the sources of true happiness. Ravi spent several hours with his brother, speaking to him about detachment, about the impermanence of wealth, and about the importance of inner peace. His brother, who had always been skeptical of Ravi's spiritual path, listened quietly. Ravi saw a flicker of something in his eyes, perhaps the first sign of his brother's openness to the deeper questions of life. In the end, Ravi did not give his brother the financial help he had hoped for, but instead, he gave him something more valuable, a glimpse of the deeper truth that lay beyond the material world. Thank you for listening, and please like the video and subscribe for more great upcoming content that will put you in top 1% people in the world.